Okay, chapter 16. Hagar and Ishmael. Now, Sarah, Abraham's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarah said to Abraham, "Now see, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please go into my maid, perhaps I shall obtain children by her." And Abraham heeded the voice of Sarah. So Sarah was all for, like, "Hey, go ahead. I know I can't have children of my own, but you still can. Go into my servant." Okay. And if you haven't seen the movie or the show The Handmaid's Tale, this is exactly where it's coming from. This portion of the Bible. So you have a maidservant, like, bear children, although they're going to take that child as their own type of thing. But this is where that show gets it from. And Abraham heeded the voice of Sarah. Now let's look down real quick. 62. Sarah knew that conception was from the Lord. See, her words, "The Lord has restrained me." Lord, sorry. The Lord has restrained me. Expressed her grief. Earlier, her husband had complained to the Lord that he was childless. "Go into my maid." In the culture of the ancient Middle East, this would have been expected. Abraham's peers would not have regarded it as immoral. Obtain children by her. Hagar would become a surrogate mother for Sarah. At the time of birth, the mother would undress herself and stay near the birth mother. As the child would born, it would be placed in the wife's body, on the wife's body. A ritual indicating that it was born on behalf of the woman who was unable to have children of herself. I seriously suggest you guys go watch Handmaid's Tale, because this is exactly what they're getting it from. I won't go more detail what exactly happens, but in a way, okay, so in culture, way back when in the Middle East, this was fine. And also, if you think about it, also indicates, oh, go ahead and have multiple wives, and that's fine. But being a surrogate, from my perspective, is not correct. Surrogate, surrogate is when you could still have children, but you choose not to bear the child yourself. Like, you're still using your eggs and the sperm, your spouse's sperm, whatever, you and whoever you want to create a baby with, but place it into somebody else, and have them be pregnant and go through all the pains and everything like that. There's a lot of people who, for some reason, they either go for their some random person, or it could even be their mother or sibling. Okay, so 4. So he went into let's go 3. Then Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, and gave her husband Abram to be his wife, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. So now her servant is now his sister wife. So he went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress became despised in her eyes. Okay, so he got her pregnant, and she's upset. But she said that she wanted him to do that anyways. Then Sarah said to Abram, "My wrong be upon you. I gave my mind unto you, your embrace. And when she saw that she had conceived, I became despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between you and me." So 5. Okay, let's go to 4. Sarah paid an emotional price for doing what the culture accepted. Using a surrogate mother may have been accepted and appreciated to the culture, but the hatred and belittling by the arrogant young servant woman was excruciating for Sarah. Now that she saw the pride of her servant, she was humiliated. So her servant was really happy that she got pregnant and everything. And Sarah's like, yeah, it might be culturally accepted, but she didn't like it. Uh, this is definitely a sign like this stuff like this shouldn't happen. Uh, and 5, Lord Judge, this is a close as we come to the using the cursing among God's people in the Bible. Such words arose out of Sarah's utter desperation. So it's like, my wrong be upon you. It's like man, I gave you my maid to embrace, and when she saw she had conceived, oh, she was happy. Um, and it almost seemed like Sarah uh, didn't seriously expect him to go to her and everything and have sex. Like, yeah, it's common in the culture, but really, it's like, I'm your wife, man. 6, line 6. Uh, so Abram said to Sarah, indeed, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please. And when Sarah dealt harshly with her, she fled from her presence. So Abram was like, yeah, I did it. She's your servant. Whatever, scold her if you want. Sarah's frustration led her to treat Hagar harshly. Neither she nor Abram behaved well during this stressful time. The Bible often shows its best characters at the worst moments. Yeah, verse 7, now the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by her spring on the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, where have you come from, and where are you going? She said, I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress, Sarah. The angels of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hand. Then the angel of the Lord said to her, I will multiply your descendants exceedingly, so that they shall not be counted for multitude. What does that mean? God's promise to Hagar to multiply her descendants is similar to the one given to Abraham and Sarah. Descendants translate to Hebrew word for seed. Okay. What is verse 9? It doesn't give me anything on verse 9. About submitting herself. Okay, verse 11. And the angel of the Lord said to her, behold, you are with child, and you shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your affliction. He shall be a wild man, and he shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Oh, he's going to be insane. He's going to be a troublemaker. Verse 11 and 12. The name Ishmael uses the divine name El and means God hears. This is something that, verse 12 is, this is something of mix between Isaac to Esau. Wild men suggest that Ishmael and his descendants would be unsettled, ever on the move. His hand against suggests that his descendants would often be at war. Still, this people would endure. They would dwell in the presence of all his brethren. This has indeed be the cause for Ishmael's descendants are the Arab peoples who populate most of the Middle East today. Very few of the people of the Old Testament would have survived in our own day. For example, all 10 nations. Oh, it doesn't continue. But anyways, so it's basically showing what like the Middle East is doing right now, like the Muslims' faith, the Islamic faith. They don't really have one spot exactly. They're all over the place. 13. Then she calls the name of the Lord, her who spoke of her. You are the God who sees. For she said, have I here seen him who sees me? Therefore the well was it called Bir Lahi Roy. Observe it is between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son. Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael. Okay, so it's definitely talks about like definitely the start of the Muslim faith and everything.